It's November. Here is my November TBR, the books I'd like to read in November, as we say goodbye to Halloween and the spooky season. My name is Jim, and this is my channel, Books, Reading and Stuff. I think I'm going to have to shut the curtain. That's better. Now onto my TBR. These are the books I hope to read in the month of November. There's 8 books on my TBR, and I'm averaging about 6 books a month, so I expect a couple of them won't be finished, but we'll see. First, I've got Barnaby Rudge. This is part of my ongoing project to read all of Dickens' novels. After Barnaby Rudge, I will only have Nicholas Nickleby of the completed novels to read, and then I'll have read all of Dickens' novels. Last year I read Martin Chuzzlewit. My favourite so far is David Copperfield. I started this in victober on the 13th of October because there's a read-along on Goodreads with the Victorians group. They're on chapter 17, I'm on chapter 8. I'm a bit behind at the moment, so I should get my skates on with this. This is Barnaby Rudge's pet raven, Grip. But Barnaby Rudge is an important character, but I don't think he's the main character in this. The main character seems to be Gabrielle Varden, who's a locksmith. I think Dickens chose Barnaby Rudge because he was this innocent caught up in the Gordon riots of 1780. This is a historical novel, and he describes Barnaby Rudge as an idiot, which is probably not the PC term these days. You can let me know in the notes how we should call such a person these days. Second is also part of a long-term project. I want to read a book in Georgian this year. I'm feeling a bit of an idiot because I've been in Georgia 15 years and my Georgian is still quite rudimentary. This is Deda, Mama, Bavshvi, da Sabargo, Mankana by Ana-Cath Vestly. It's a Norwegian book translated into Georgian, and it's for 7 to 9-year-olds. And I'm up to page 17. And there's 177 pages, so I have to get my skates on. If I can read 2 pages a day, I can finish this before the end of the year. Next, I have an e-arc from NetGalley called One More Lie by Sheryl Browne. This is a psychological thriller, and it's billed as a psychological thriller that will please fans of A Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and I like Freida McFadden's books. These are popcorn thrillers with lots of twists, so I'm looking forward to reading this. A couple of weeks ago I did a video 10 before the end, and I read 2 of those books in October, but I got another 4 books I want to read in November from that list, and then 4 in December. First on that list for November is The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. When I posted 10 before the end, Melinda of Web of Stories suggested I start with this. I'm looking forward to this. This is Hercule Poirot, and I like mystery connected with the alphabet. The victims here in alphabetical order at the beginning: Mrs. Asher in Andover, Betty Barnard in Bexhill, and Sir Carmichael Clark in Churton. I don't know if it continues through the complete alphabet, but the start, these alphabetical victims. Then I have the dude bro himself, Ernest Hemingway. I've only read 1 book by Ernest Hemingway, which was The Old Man and the Sea. It's a short book, but it felt like a very long book, and it felt rather tedious. I'm giving Hemingway another chance. This is The Sun Also Rises, set in Paris and in Spain. There is some bullfighting, there's some drunkenness, there's misogyny and other things. I'm sure unrequited love, I'm told, but I'll give it a go. Same initials as Ernest Hemingway, Emily Henry, but a very different book, I imagine. Beach Read. This is contemporary romance about 2 novelists who are in close proximity and go from rivals to lovers. This sounds very similar to a book I've read last month, Not in My Book by Katie Holt, which was a romance about two aspiring novelists. One writes romance, one writes contemporary fiction, and they go from rivals to lovers, and they have this proximity as well. I think the romance genre relies on a lot of these tropes, but I'm looking forward to this. Then another author with the initials EH. This was just coincidence, it wasn't intended. I just noticed when I was doing the TBR that I had 3 authors with the initials EH. Emilia Hart, who wrote Weyward. Weyward was the Goodreads choice for historical fiction last year. It follows 3 women in 3 different eras. There's one in 1619 who's being tried as a witch. There's a woman in World War II, and there's a woman in our contemporary times. And it's their story. It's got a gorgeous cover. I don't know much else about it, but as it's a Goodreads choice, I imagine that it was very popular with a lot of people, so I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. And finally, it is Nonfiction November, and I do have a nonfiction book here. This is Old West, from the editors of True West magazine, True Tales and Amazing Legends. It's a variety of authors, lots of pictures and maps as well, about tales from the Old West. So that's my November TBR. If you've read any of these books, or if you've got any comments about any of these books, please put them down below in the comments. I love reading your comments, and I will answer every comment, unless it's very offensive, in which case I'll just delete it. But even if you just leave an emoji, I'll answer with an emoji. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up. This will help me with the YouTube algorithm, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.